Thank you all so much for being here today. We really appreciate your support. I'd like to first start with introducing State Representative Lindsay Cross.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Lindsay Cross from District 60 here in Pinellas County. Make no mistake, Floridians, the reproductive rights of millions of Floridian women are on the line this November, not just with Amendment 4, but up and down the ballot. Today, we are just hours away from implementing a near total abortion ban in Florida. Out of touch extremists in Tallahassee and Washington do not support your right to choose. The abortion ban passed by the Florida legislature is the most extreme in the country. It is anti woman, anti family, it's anti health, and it's anti freedom. As a member of the State House Health and Human Services Committee, I heard the testimony of distraught women from across the state that had traveled hundreds of miles to plead with their legislators not to pass the bill. These women and their partners will now have to travel thousands of miles to get access to life-saving health care. I've spoken with countless women across my district and across the state of Florida that understand that their daughters and granddaughters will have fewer rights than they did growing up. I've also spoken with husbands and fathers that feel powerless and don't know how they'll be able to support the women that they love. But each of us has immense power because we have the power of the vote, and we have an incredible opportunity to stand up for reproductive rights this November. And this November will be a time of reckoning for each and every legislator that voted for this abortion ban and those that stand between women and reproductive health care that they need. So if you're a legislator that voted for this ban and don't think that your constituents will remember, you are in trouble this November. If you're in Congress backing a national abortion ban, you're in trouble. And if you're running for office and oppose Amendment 4, which will enshrine abortion rights in our state constitution and will be approved by a majority of Floridians, then you're in serious trouble. The extremists aren't stopping with an abortion ban, though. We're seeing even more radical anti-freedom legislation proposed in the Florida legislature this year. Not just abortion bans, but book bans, flag bans, and limiting speech in the classroom. All of these bans are anti-freedom and anti-American. It also looks like extremists like Anna Paulina Luna have their sights on IVF, which would mean preventing young families from having biological children. I don't know where they'll stop, and I don't know what freedoms they'll take away next, which is why all of us need to be fighting for our liberties. I will never stop fighting for a woman's right to reproductive health care and to make her own health care decisions. And I need allies like Whitney Fox in Congress to be fighting for our reproductive rights nationwide. We are in this fight together. All of us are in this fight together. For women in Florida, tomorrow, May Day, marks a dark date in our state. But November 5th is just around the corner. And it is up to each and every one of us to fight for our freedoms to be healthy, prosperous, and safe, which is why we must pass Amendment 4 and reject each and every politician who is taking away our freedoms. I am confident that when Floridians vote on or before November 5th, they will reject extremism and choose freedom. We must vote like our rights, our daughters, and our granddaughters' rights depend on us. Join me in supporting Amendment 4 and everyone up and down the ballot that supports our freedom to choose. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Lindsay Cross. Now I'd like to introduce Karen Berman, a local activist. Karen.
Hi there. I'm Karen Berman, a community activist with Fired Up Pinellas. Our organization works to elect candidates who will represent the will of the people. We're committed to an inclusive democracy, one that empowers its citizens and to exercise their right to vote. While I'm no longer of reproductive age, I clearly remember making my own reproductive decisions. This was empowering as a young woman. My healthcare choices were between me and my doctor. I took this right for granted, believing anti-choice laws would be a thing of the past, not the future. It does not escape me that my own children now have less rights than I did. There has never been a right of this magnitude that has been granted and then taken away in the history of the United States. This nation was founded on the pillars of liberty and justice, and these regressive and restrictive laws don't make it feel that way. To the women of Florida, this certainly doesn't feel like freedom. People in public office should not impose their personal belief systems on others. This repressive law is just the opposite. It is a politician saying, I know what is best for your health and your family, while ignoring the harm that their belief causes. As an activist, I have worked with other organizations and individuals to collect over 1 million signatures from Floridians who also want reproductive freedom, many of them right here in Pinellas. In November, we will have the opportunity to change this dangerous 6-week ban and vote out those who seek to implement an even more dangerous national ban. I'm saddened and angered that until we get the opportunity to make our voices heard, people will die as a direct result of the 6-week ban, like those in Texas and Mississippi have. We must continue to do everything we can to get people out to vote and make their voices heard in support of reproductive freedom and Amendment 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. I'd next like to introduce a local mother here, Abby Connor. Please welcome to the podium. Thank you, Abby.
Hi, my name is Abby O'Connor. I'm a veterinarian and a mother of 2 from St. Petersburg. I'm here with my family today, a very noisy 2-year-old. I had a miscarriage in February of 2021, and while it hurts to talk about it, I think it's important to share our story. We lost a baby that was loved and wanted. I started miscarrying on a Thursday evening, 10 weeks into pregnancy. It started with light cramping and bleeding. I called my doctor and they scheduled an appointment for me the following morning. I remember being in that dark room, looking at my baby on the monitor and not seeing a heartbeat. This is the worst news you can get as a parent, that your baby's no longer alive. My doctor wanted to give it the weekend and see how things progressed. So I did what so many other women have done, and I continued my miscarriage at home. A couple days later, I started to get really sick. I was bleeding so heavily that I would bleed through my clothes every time I stood up. I was getting lightheaded. I developed a fever, had worsening abdominal pain, started vomiting. My doctor told me I was having what's known as a septic abortion. I hadn't passed all of the fetal tissue and had developed an infection in my uterus. Fortunately, I was able to access the appropriate abortion care to complete my miscarriage safely. Had I not been able to access that necessary abortion care, my son may have lost his mother, my husband may have lost his wife, or I may not have been able to get pregnant again and have my daughter Juniper. Miscarriage care is abortion care. Women shouldn't have to die for their decisions about whether to start or grow their family. When Florida's 6-week abortion ban goes into effect tomorrow, women across the Southeast will lose access to necessary and life-saving reproductive care. Every woman is equally deserving of access to potentially life-saving care. The proponents of this abortion ban try to pretend that this bill is reasonable because it has exceptions for the health of the mother. But as we've seen in other states where similar abortion bans were passed, women are left suffering and alone in life-threatening conditions. I have experienced firsthand that one's health can change very quickly During my miscarriage, I could not have waited for 2 or more physicians or for a medical advisory board to sign off that I was sick enough or septic enough or near death enough to be provided care. I could not have gotten in a car and driven 17 hours or got on a plane and flown across the country as I was bleeding to death. The point of a 6-week abortion ban is not to protect women and families. The point is cruelty and control. Cruelty for controlling women's bodies and lives. I ask that all of you look at your moms, your sisters, your daughters, your wives, your coworkers, your friends, and see that our rights are being taken away by these anti-abortion extremists. It is unthinkable to me that starting tomorrow, my daughter will not have the same right to bodily autonomy that my son has. Voting yes on Amendment 4 this November is a good start to restore reproductive freedom in Florida. But it is even more important to vote out of office extremists like Anna Paulina Luna, who support a federal abortion ban. Such a ban would endanger the lives of women and girls across the country. If we truly want to protect women's rights and lives, we need to support Whitney Fox and candidates like her who will fight to stop these extremists and protect a woman's right to make private healthcare decisions at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abby, for sharing your story with us today. My name is Whitney Fox, and I'm here not just as a candidate seeking to represent Florida in Congress, but as an advocate for women's rights and as a mother of 2 young girls. Tomorrow, Florida will implement a 6-week abortion ban, one of the most restrictive laws of its kind in the nation. This law is already pushing doctors out of our state for fear of legal repercussions. It risks the lives of women who may face complications in pregnancies, leaving hospitals powerless to provide necessary care due to legal uncertainties. Let me be clear. When this law goes into effect in Florida, women will die. Women will be rushed to emergency rooms like the one behind me. Women will avoid seeking the health care they need when having a miscarriage. Instead of receiving care, they'll be treated as criminals. As a mother, it breaks my heart to think that my daughters will grow up with fewer rights than I did. It terrifies me to think that their ability to make decisions about their own bodies could be so easily taken away. That is why the fight for Amendment 4, which seeks to protect reproductive freedoms in the Florida Constitution, is so personal and urgent. However, we know that state-level protections alone are not enough. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a disastrous patchwork of laws have emerged across our country, creating a health crisis where the basic right to health care is determined by geographical lines. My opponent, Anna Paulina Luna, is perfectly comfortable with these laws harming women. In fact, she wants to go further, supporting a national abortion ban without exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother. This would not only threaten state protections like Amendment 4, but would strip away the rights of women across every state, regardless of state laws or voters' decisions. Do not give yourself a false sense of security. State laws will mean nothing. Hard-fought state victories like Amendment 4 will mean nothing if extremist politicians like Luna get their way and impose a national abortion ban. We cannot allow this to happen. We need representatives who will fight to restore Roe as the law of the land, who understand that personal health decisions should be made by women and their doctors, not politicians. We need leaders who will stand up and say unequivocally that women's rights are human rights. The stakes could not be higher. Anna Paulina wants to take away our freedoms. And that's why, for the sake of every woman, every family, and for my own daughters, we must vote her out this November. Join me in our fight, not just for Florida, but for every American who believes in the freedom to make their own healthcare decisions. Together, we can protect our freedoms and ensure a healthier, more just future for all. Thank you. Thank you.